Reduce radioactive pollution. With the recent increase in radioactive pollution, many people are looking for ways to reduce radioactive pollution. One way that you can reduce your exposure is by disconnecting all of your household appliances and electronics from the power grid. This will reduce the amount of electricity flowing through your home, which will reduce radiation levels inside your house. If you want to stop using microwaves or dishwashers, then it is advisable to store them in a garage when not in use, so they don't emit any radiation into your living space. Reduce radioactive pollution by education. A new way to reduce radioactive pollution is by educating the masses about safe practices. Educating people on how they can provide best practice safety when it comes to nuclear waste and other forms of radiation could be a simple solution that would help clean up our environment. But with so many sources for information in these days' age, we are never really sure who or what we should rely on as fact. By doing some research over at websites such as Wikipedia, which has been deemed one of the most accurate sites online today, you will find all the latest data from organizations like IAEA and UNSCEAR's databases compiled together in an easy-to-read format. Reduce radioactive pollution by controlling population. There is an exciting way to help reduce radioactive pollution in not just America but the world. Unfortunately, it's a long-term solution that doesn't have much of an immediate impact on today or tomorrow, and it might sound like something out of Star Trek. The answer: control population growth by encouraging family planning initiatives so parents can space their children apart instead of having more than 2 per household at one time, lessening exposure from radiation as well as other health issues such as malnutrition due to lack of food resources. Controlling the population is one way to reduce radioactive pollution. Even though the world has a large amount of nuclear power, it's essential that we prevent future generations from suffering debilitating side effects because they might be exposed to increased radiation levels due to natural disasters or other human error. Reduce radioactive pollution by reducing nuclear tests. Nuclear tests release radioactive emissions into the environment. These emissions can have harmful consequences for both humans and wildlife, even after a test is conducted in an isolated location far away from any populated area. Luckily, there are many ways to significantly reduce these pollutants without harming our safety or cutting off access to nuclear testing altogether. There are 2 ways to solve the problem of nuclear radiation. One way is by reducing our level of testing for weapons, but this could lead to a weapon shortage in case we need it again and would also set us back technologically. The other option is more difficult because Congress has not yet approved funding from TAPA, Nuclear Detonation Threat Assessment Program, which provides money for cleanup measures after tests happen overseas or domestic sites that require removal amid contamination concerns, as well as increased awareness campaigns about potential effects on human health like cancer rates due to exposure among others. Reduce radioactive pollution by using different energy sources. One way to minimize radioactive pollution is by using other energy sources. Wind power, solar panels, and hydroelectricity are all viable options for generating electricity without releasing nuclear radiation into the atmosphere. Direct alternative fuel production. This involves capturing gas from coal or oil before it burns in order to generate heat that can be used to turn turbines and produce electricity. Recycling aluminum requires less than 1/3 of the input material as traditional methods because only pure metal is melted down, any other metals present remain intact with their original properties preserved. The government should stop mining coal and use renewable energy instead to reduce radioactive pollution. Reduce radioactive pollution by managing radioactive waste. The government has a plan to reduce the radioactive decay caused by nuclear waste. They're going to do it through managing these wastes like they have been doing since 1947. The U.S. government is looking for new ways of reducing the amount of radiation that gets released into our environment as well as figuring out how decommissioning power plants will be handled in future decades due to aging equipment and acts such as terrorism or natural disasters, which could pose great danger if not adequately addressed.